Tuesday election, huge nightmare for Democrats, and shouldn't somebody get fired, take the blame?
You always want to fire somebody. Some people are saying the person who's going to be the face of the Democrats' election failure is going to be...
Y'all want to show a picture today?
It's a mystery.
I mean,
okay. And this is just speculation. She's not been fired. We want to clarify this. Democratic National Committee Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Should she really be the one to blame, though? Let's get the panel back on this one. You know, we don't know what went on in the back rooms, but
yeah, when you lose big, somebody's head's got somebody's head's going to roll. And yesterday, the president was asked that question, and he said it's a bit premature. Let's find out what the Republicans are going to do with their agenda. And you got some Democrats who are saying he's not going to replace anybody on his White House staff. You don't hear anything about when it comes to the head of the DNC. Congressman Steve Israel has already said he is not going to continue as chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. But Utah lost in Utah. Bennett is the senator from Utah. I'm sorry, your leadership sucks.
Look, Democrats have already thrown DWS under the bus, and we felt sorry for her. And that was before the election night. Now you've got a Republican tidal wave.
Everybody, your party, everybody, your campaign got a promotion.
Nobody. It's the head of the DNC. We felt bad for her. But I think what you're going to see,
Right.
Like just as a system, you know. Okay.
But look, what we've done at the RNC is we've implemented this 50-state strategy that you're talking about, and the Democrats didn't. They came into our communities, black communities across the country, with these last-minute appeals, a couple of print ads, a little bit of radio, thinking that they could gin up African-American support, and they weren't able to do that. I mean, we saw Governor Kasich in Ohio get 33% of the black male vote. 1 out of 3 black men voted for Governor Kasich in Ohio. 26% of all black voters in that state voted for the Republican Governor Kasich in Ohio.
This had to be started long before this election cycle. You can't just go into black people's communities and say, vote for me, I care about you. This, we understand, Bruce Rauner in Illinois did this. He started years ago cultivating some relationships, which then came to pay off when election time came.
That's right, and it's about building those relationships, which is something that we encourage for every Republican to do, for every elected official to do, and that's something that we should be doing more.
Judith, should the Democrats be looking at making some significant changes to your leadership? Because clearly, I mean, again, going beyond, I'm going way beyond Republicans taking control of the United States Senate. When you lose in deep blue states like Massachusetts governor, Maryland governor,
I live in Maryland.
Illinois governor. When you look at expanding in Florida, when you look at those types of wins, that's the sign of a structural problem for the party.
So first, I do not speak for the Democratic Party.
I don't know, but you're giving analysis.
But I do think that part of the problem is that we think about civic participation in cycles, and those are election cycles tied to year in and year out. Is it a presidential election? Is it a midterm election? What we don't do is talk to the voters in between. We don't, kind of cultivate relationships and build with them so that they understand that we are by their side, that we're working for them day in and day out. So I think actually everyone
sometimes
deserves
that's because
some
they're
of this
not
blame.
working for them day in and day out. They really don't have a narrative to present.
That is true, right? But so part of this is about how do we form accountability both ways? How do voters keep engaged in the process beyond Election Day? But how do the parties and the candidates continue to be accountable to the people who voted them into office?
Jason?
Look, I wish the parties made sense when it came to their leaders, because think about it. You all got rid of Michael Steele after you won in 2010. He had done a great job. So real talk. So it doesn't always make sense. Nancy Pelosi should have been gone in 2010, and Michael Steele should have kept his job. So I think if the Democrats are smart, they need to look from top to bottom. They need to also take a look at some of the candidates they're running. I mean, how could they get behind Charlie Crist? How could they get behind some of the people that they have? Martha Coakley, who's a 2-time loser. She and Scott Brown are a perfect combination for people who keep running and keep losing. So I think the Democrats need to stop just saying we're going to win in 2016 with Hillary Clinton and look at tougher, better, more responsible candidates at the state level. That's a big part of it.
The other thing is the Democratic Party hedged its bets, right, about President Obama, right? Don't have him out on the trail, right? But, for black folks, that was
no, but
no one wanted him with him.
But here's the deal. It's not just black folks. Not just black folks. I mean, I understand there were some other Democratic candidates who were white, who were running, who wanted the White House to be involved, and they wanted him to be in. But again, they made this ridiculous strategy. But also, they got the president involved in this thing late.
Yeah,
they got involved late. I mean, he didn't even do black radio until really late in the campaign. And I'm sitting there going, hey, you might want to start a long time before early voting.
They hedge their bets on let's keep him in the White House and not out on the trail.
I wouldn't call it hedging bets. I would call it taking voters for granted. They thought they could show up at the last minute with these sort of appeals and get the same turnout that they had in the past, which didn't happen. In Massachusetts, in Maryland, in Illinois, you had Republicans on the ticket who were in black communities. Baker in Massachusetts, he was in Boston. Rauner in Illinois, working with black pastors. Hogan in Maryland. His LG candidate is a black Republican, Boyd Rutherford, who just won.
Look, you can't show up at my house at 11:55 at night with flowers and say, let's go out. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. Okay?
You know what kind of call that is.
I mean,
let's call it some kind of call.
So that's what
going out.
Everybody be saying in. And that's what voters did. That's what voters did. They
Unless you're crazy.
So, I mean, there was so much of that. I spend time in Ohio. I spend time, a lot of time in Atlanta as well. You know, President Obama and the First Lady, they showed up, but they called radio stations late, you know. And in Ohio, it was the same sort of thing. Yeah. Yes, the Republicans have been working in Ohio, but it's also because, you know, the Democratic candidate was an absolute failure in Ohio.
It totally imploded.
They had nothing going on. And their most popular candidate, Nina Turner, who a lot of people in the black community love, she was abandoned by the Democratic Party.
But
lost 61-35.
We accuse it on both sides. We say he wouldn't go out for candidates, and then we say candidates didn't want to have anything to do with him. So I don't know.
Right. My point is their infrastructure was totally dysfunctional, and they had no idea what in the world they wanted to do, and it was all over the place. And then when you didn't have a consistent narrative, earlier we talked to Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. And when I interviewed First Lady Michelle Obama, when they laid out all of the accomplishments, and as I'm listening to Reverend talk, I'm literally visualizing a commercial that actually is showing that.
Should have
And I'm sitting there, I'm going, that would have made a hell of a television commercial.
In fact, the president's own speech yesterday was like pointing out all the things I've done.
Would have been good.
Hello, could have done that like months ago.
So all the consultants that were paying thousands and millions of dollars, what the hell were y'all doing?
We'll listen to what the Reverend had to say this morning, because he put it in a nutshell.
Going to a break right now. We come back, we're going to talk about that, specifically a group of black pastors who supported Bruce Rauner for governor.
Early on.
He won. Should Democrats be a wee bit scared?